Good morning. This is Andrea with Happy Cloud Creations. Each month I like to jump on to give a little update just to let you know what's going on over here. Last month I jumped on mid-month, so I thought I would jump on mid-month this month as well. Hope you guys are all having a great day. It's a little windy and rainy here today in Western Washington. If you are watching this live, it'll say live up in the corner. If the live is no longer there, that means you are watching a replay. So I just wanted to kind of go over what I'm working on this month. I just had my pattern release for my lovely Star Garden Quilt pattern, if you haven't seen yet. And when I released it, I realized this is my 20th quilt pattern release, which that includes all my free patterns. I have 5 free patterns, and then I have, so this is my 15th for purchase pattern. It's a 16-inch block quilt pattern, and it's fat quarter friendly. Fat quarter friendly. If you guys jump on, say hi so I can make sure I can see comments. See a couple people are jumping on. So this is my 20th quilt pattern release. I didn't realize that. Someone had asked me the other day, oh, how many quilt patterns have you released? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I've never really counted them up, so I thought I would count them up. And this is my 20th. So right now in my shop, I'm having a 20% off sale that will go through this Sunday. Right now I have the digital version in my shop for this quilt pattern. The paper patterns were delayed at the printer, so those will be here sometime on Friday. But I'm not gonna actually activate the listing in my shop until they're actually here in my hand, so I can go over them and make sure they look nice before I actually list them. Hi, Sheila. So once I get those on Friday, I'll list them in my account and I'll post in my Facebook page that they're ready. On Friday, I'll also be getting a paper pattern for my All About Arrows quilt pattern and my X Marks the Spot quilt pattern. Those are actually 2 of my digital patterns that I released beginning of like 2017. They're a couple of my first quilt patterns, and I'm slowly trying to get all my quilt patterns onto paper because I know some people prefer paper, they don't have a printer, or they don't have a color printer, so it's just kind of easier. So right now, most of my, I'll just show you an example. Most of my paper patterns are in this format. They come in a plastic Ziploc bag. That way you don't have to worry about them getting damaged from moisture in the mail. The cover has all the fabric requirements on it. That's a little thick. And then the pattern is actually printed double-sided on 8 by 11-inch paper. That way you have your coloring sheet that you can color in. You could actually go get photocopies of this at a library if you needed more. And so that's what the paper patterns look like. All of my paper patterns are in that format right now, except for I have a few of my Frame It quilt patterns left that are single printed. They're not double-sided, and it's the full 8 by 10. It's not folded in half. So if you were wondering, because I know some people have booklet type patterns, and so I wanted to show you what mine look like so you knew what you were expecting when you purchased them. So that's the first thing I'm doing this month. I have the pattern release. So the sale goes through, the 20% off sale goes through this Sunday. And that's all my patterns, all my quilts, all my scarves, all my pot holders, dishcloths, and coffee cozies. So if we're looking at any of those, it's a good time to buy because they're on sale. And then the next thing I was hoping to, so last Friday I bought this lovely stack of fabric. So I usually always go with the same color combo, and I've been going with some fat quarter bundles lately, and I wanted to try something different. So I wanted to make my lovely Star Garden quilt pattern in a throw size, and so I got this Lagoon. It's a Kona cotton, and then the stars were going to be made up in all these. I just went through stashfabric.com's I searched black and white. And so I went through there and picked all the black and white prints that I thought looked cool. And so I was gonna do all the stars in these because they didn't really have a black and white bundle. So these are all half yard cuts for the throw size. So I wanted to make a throw size. I bought them last week and I was like, oh, I'm gonna start sewing. I'm gonna get cutting into that. And then last weekend we decided, oh, let's paint our living room and add new trim and paint the trim. So I haven't been able to cut into this fabric yet. So I'm hoping either Sunday or Monday I'll be able to cut into these. We're not quite finished. I have to do a second coat of paint, a second coat of trim paint, and then hopefully we're done. So maybe Friday I could cut into these. So that's what I'm hoping. It's like I bought the fabric for a quilt and then boom, a new idea for a new quilt pops in my head, and I started writing up a new pattern. So I want to try to make this quilt before I start my new quilt pattern, because I know a lot of people are busy over November, December, so sometimes it's hard to get quilt testers during November and December. So I don't know if my next quilt pattern will be released before January. So we'll see. If I can make this quilt top and feel like I'm not being too rushed, too busy, I might start working on my new quilt pattern, and we'll see. We'll get that out to you. I know a few people were asking, since right now we are on the last block of the Happy Block Swap Quilt Along with the National Quilter Circle. I joined up with National Quilter Circle to bring everybody that free quilt along. We have one block left, which is Friday, and the next Friday everybody will get the finishing instructions. So people were asking, when's my next quilt along? Because if you're new to my page, I have my own quilt along group, which is called Happy Cloud Creations Quilt Alongs. And I like to do quilt alongs ever so often in that group. If you are trying to join that group, make sure to answer the join questions. If you invite a friend, make sure to tell them, hey, I invited you to this group. You need to answer the join questions, which are really easy. I think it's like, how long have you been quilting, and do you prefer modern or classic quilts? That way I can weed out spam accounts, because sometimes spam accounts just like to join groups so they can post weird things in your group. I don't know why people do this, but they do that. So that's why I have those join questions. So I'm rambling. The next quilt along, I was thinking, will probably January, either beginning of January or mid-January. And so sometime in December, I will, in my quilt along group, do a poll to see what people want to do for the next quilt along. And then I think a start date, maybe I'll poll to see when the start date, beginning or mid-January, would be best for everyone. I know it's a lot, for me, it's a lot of fun to do quilt alongs with people, because then it puts you kind of like on a timeline. You don't have to try to do the quilt as fast as you can. It's kind of spread out, but then it also is a little structured, and it kind of motivates you to actually finish that quilt. Share with everyone. You get ideas from other people. It's fun. So we'll have to stay tuned about that next quilt along. I'm not sure when the next National Quilter Circle quilt along will be. I'm sure once this one wraps up, they will make an announcement. I know me and Ashley plan on doing another live question and answer about quilts soon, and so I'm sure they will post that on their page to give you the time and date for that. So yeah, that's what I'm working on quilting wise from now till my big Black Friday sale. I usually like to do a big discount big Black Friday sale. From now until then, I'm going to be trying to finish up quilts, try to get some new pot holders in my shop, try to finish quilts I have, get them in my shop. And I have a huge stack like this big of dishcloths that I need to photograph. to get those in my shop. And so quilting wise, that's about it. I finished my Agnes sweater, I think it's called. I put a link up in the description of this video to the link to it. The pattern actually came with pockets on the side, but I decided not to do that. It sounded a little too difficult. I really like the thickness of it. It's a bulky weight. If you are a knitter, it's a bulky weight yarn. What I did, I used Knit Picks bulky, and then I also did 2 strands. So I did 1 strand of bulky weight, 1 strand of fingering of yarn that I had dyed with my kids with Kool-Aid and food coloring. So it's kind of scrappy looking, so I wanted to use that up. So it's like a light blue, and it goes to a light gray, then a dark gray, and then black at the bottom. I still need to some fabric tie in all my ends, but I like how it turned out, how it goes from dark to light. I like it. But I really like how cozy and thick it is. So I want to try to make my husband a bulky weight sweater. So if anybody's knitters out there and has a unisex bulky weight sweater, so I don't know, does this look girly, or do you think a guy could wear this one too? Huh? I want to try to make him a bulky weight sweater too. So if you have a pattern, let me know. Thank you, Mary. Well, it is scrappy in the way that I used scrap yarn. All these different rows, it goes from different color to different color. My son dyed this one, I think. My daughter dyed this one, and then we all dyed this one together. So I kind of have it go from color to color to color, using up all my scrap yarn, because I had first made them socks with that yarn. And so I had leftover yarn, and I thought that would be really special to put it in a sweater for me, because those socks are actually getting too small for them. So I'm going to have to knit them some new socks. So I ordered some Wool of the Andes worsted weight superwash yarn from Knit Picks. It's one of their cheaper ones, and I'm like, they grew out of those other socks so fast. I decided to get an inexpensive yarn from them to dye. So either today or this weekend, we're going to dye this yarn with some food coloring. They picked out all their colors that they want to do, and so I'll knit them up some new socks. I knit them up fingering weight before, and this time I'm going to do a worsted weight, because they go together way faster than the fingering weight. I wish I could knit. I would love to do wool socks. I love your sweaters. Oh, there is a YouTube channel that makes it very, she goes over all the steps of making a sock. I'll have to your comment, I'll have to give you the link to it. That was how I learned to do socks, because I've never done socks until this year. And she just goes over her steps. She actually knits, and you see what she's doing the whole time. And so it makes it a little easier. I learned to knit when I was a little kid, and I learned from my mom, and she had like a knitting book. So nowadays, with all the YouTube channels, if you really wanted to knit, you could just search knitting for beginners. Like I would go with socks is probably a little more difficult to start out with. I would go with like a scarf or a hat. A scarf is probably the easiest. Like a bulky weight. My favorite bulky acrylic is the Homeland, I think. Homeland by Lions brand, because I get dry hands really bad, and so when I touch that yarn, it doesn't like cling and feel gross on my hands like some of the yarns do. So I like that one, the Homeland, I think it's Homeland. But you should try it. I actually have a chunky cowl tutorial on my blog that you could try. It's pretty easy. Or you could just Google easy beginner scarf patterns bulky weight. Mary, you let your hair grow out. I've actually been I have a hair appointment on November 1st. It's been growing out because I waited too long to make my hair appointment. And so I was waiting till the kids were in school. And then they got in school, and then I went to make the appointment. I'm like, oh no, she's like booked 2 months out. So I had to wait till November. So November 1st, I get a haircut. I'm so excited. I'm probably going to do it short, like that short. So I like to do it short because it takes me forever to get back to the hair salon to get it cut again. So yeah, that's about all that I'm working on. I'm excited to dye up the yarn because it's fun to see the kids' color combos. Like Snow's this orange one. I wasn't expecting her to do orange. It likes orange and purple and blue and pink. And then Clouds is the blue, green, and purple. So we'll see what they do this time. Their feet are a little bit bigger. Just the wool yarn doesn't stretch as much as a sock that you would buy at like Target or Walmart. So their feet are getting a little too small for those. So I'll share with you guys how their yarn turns out. I'm excited about it. It's really easy. It's a fun project to do with little kids. I actually have a blog post about that, how to dye your yarn. Maybe I'll put a link up in the description of this video so you guys can, if you got some little kids or you have grandkids and you want to try dyeing some yarn, it'd be a really fun project. So I hope you guys all have a wonderful weekend. Tomorrow I will be jumping on in the National Quilter Circle group to do a little check-in video for their last block for that quilt along. And then, so I will try to jump on here next month, probably mid-month again, just to give you guys an update of what I've been working on and if I have decided to start that new quilt pattern. We'll see. This week's been crazy because my kids had half days. And so next week is pretty busy. So we'll see if we have time, if I have any time. I really should just be like setting my alarm clock for 5 a.m. and get up and sew at 5 and, you know, just do that. But I really like my sleep, especially with it dark out. It's hard to get up early. Sorry, guys. So I will talk to you guys next month. Have a wonderful weekend and a wonderful day. Happy sewing. Happy whatever you're doing. Goodbye.